righty. We got another episode of the Nutritional Edge coming to you live here from the clinic, from the specific chiropractic centers, Arkansas, Little Rock. We got myself, Dr. Chris Brown. Nathan Slinkard is in a little Q&A right now with actually some people with a nurse practitioner out in the Maumelle area. But we're keeping the show going. We're keeping it flowing. He might pop in here in a little bit. But what we got going on today is it's Heart Health Month. And by being Heart Health Month, obviously a lot of cardiovascular things. There's a ton of big role that nutrition can play in it. There's also a really big role that the nervous system can play in it. With cardiovascular well-being, with Heart Health Month being in play, especially for me, my specialty is with the nervous system itself. And so with that being said, that is really where neurology, what governs our heart, what makes our heart beat in the first place, that has been a pretty big part in terms of what's allowing my heart to do the things that it's designed to do day in, day out, without me even being able to consciously think about, okay, what is actually occurring? Like, I don't think make my heart beat. I don't think, okay, pull blood into heart and distribute it to rest of body. What makes our heart actually work well? What makes our heart, what do we want for our heart? Main thing is we want our heart to be able to relax. We want our heart to be able to not have to beat hard when it's not working hard. We want our heart to be able to have long spaces in between, expanding its kind of rooms, its chambers where blood flows into. And we want to be able to have a nice, healthy, strong pump to be able to force blood out through the rest of our arteries and our veins. We also want to have a low resistance towards having that heart flow, towards having that blood flow. What governs all that, especially when it comes to the resistance part and the quality of the blood that's being pumped, that's really where the nutritional aspect comes into play, because the types of food that we eat is going to have an impact on the quality and the viscosity of our blood and our blood flow. And so if we want our blood to be nice and not necessarily loose, but not to have it be so dense and so tough, we don't want it to be like oil or sludge. That's where our food comes into play. If we're constantly eating things that are processed, things that have trans fats, things that are going to be clogging up our blood flow, it's also going to be impacting the vasculature of itself. And we got Nathan here.
Yay.
Both on. What I was going in on, what's going on, Nathan? How we doing?
Dude, doing great, man. Got a lot of stuff going on, but it's a good day.
Heck yeah. I was just going in on explaining like basically arteries, veins, and how, I mean, the food that we have, that like the impact that can have on the viscosity of blood, and also leading to higher resistance, thus higher blood pressure. How it's going to impact the heart, and thus our heart's going to have to work harder for a longer period of time. And we don't even have to think about how our heart works. But we're also not taking into consideration the things that we do that's making our heart work too hard or harder than it should, thus leading to something long term. I mean, out of one of the four main killers of humans in this current day and age, cardiovascular is of the top four. And not a whole lot of us know a whole lot of stuff about it. So I was just kind of flowing in on like the viscosity of blood and how the things we eat have an impact of it. And then also how the things that we eat have an impact on the expandability of arteries and veins, which play a role in blood pressure itself, which is atherosclerosis. That's one thing we don't want. And we probably, I mean, you and I probably have calcium plaques in our arteries, and we're a bunch of mid upper 20-year-olds.
Right.
That are typically doing fairly healthy things. I was learning in a book called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia that calcium deposits in our arteries start really when like we're teenagers.
Wow. Yeah.
I was blown away.
That's crazy. Way earlier than people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he had a test for what he get done to test to see if you have any calcium in it. I don't think it was a DEXA scan.
There's a heart scan. The heart scan or the cardiac calcium score.
I think it's CT angiography, maybe, actually.
Yes. Okay. Do you know what the cardiac calcium score heart scan? Have you heard of that?
I think I have, but explain it.
That's a leading way to assess heart health, and it's a CT scan, and
Okay.
it gives you a score, so 0 plus, and you want to be as low as possible. So it's looking at the calcium
Mm,
calcification with arteries,
mm,
and it's a lot better of a predictor of a heart attack or stroke than total cholesterol or even HDL or LDL cholesterol.
mm,
So,
mm.
and you were
Very
talking
nice.
about viscosity. What's interesting is saturated fats circulating in the bloodstream are slowing down the rate of blood flow, but it's sugar and carbohydrate consumption that tends to increase the circulating. It's not the saturated fat in excess that we eat. So going back again, we blame saturated fat for heart disease, but that's just another factor of sugar and carbohydrates can increase saturated fats circulating in our bloodstream, especially triglycerides, which is a different type of fat. But triglycerides that are high is a bad sign. So,
Right. Because
and that's
like excess sugar, especially refined sugar that we consume, is going to get converted into fat and fatty
right.
plaques,
Yes.
especially when it's consumed in excess. Because like actual fat, we need actual fat. Like our brain is
Mhm.
composed of fat. Our nerves
Yeah.
are insulated by fat. Hormones create fat. Fat lines our cell walls. Fat are the moats of our cells that
Yep.
determine what goes in and what goes out. So we need healthy fats.
Yep.
But the enemy is actually bad processed sugar that, when consumed in excess, gets converted into that and gets into uh, basically gets stored on our organs because our body innately designs and allocates areas to stay away from our blood so it doesn't get to the rest of our body. So it just traps it onto our organs. That's why we get visceral fat, which we want none of.
Yes. And
Yeah, I want
a
any of that.
vitamin deficiency that can cause our body to direct calcium into our arteries instead of where it should be going, which is our bones. Do you remember me mentioning that one?
Saying which vitamin do I think that is?
Yeah, like a
Well,
deficiency of
if
which
it has to get into bones, I'm gonna guess vitamin D.
you'd be very close. Vitamin D helps us
Uh,
to absorb calcium, but it actually doesn't take the calcium and shuttle it into the bones. So vitamin D actually helps us absorb it in the intestines. It actually helps us to
right,
actively like get enough. So if
right,
we're
right.
just doing, we can have enough calcium, the building block, but not enough vitamin D means we won't absorb enough of
Mm,
it. But vitamin K2, not vitamin K1, but vitamin K2, which is poorly
interesting.
talked about. It's not poorly understood. We know a lot about vitamin K2. But we need vitamin K2 to then take the absorbed calcium and put it to where it needs to go instead of potentially into our arteries or even our skin. People that have advanced kidney disease, you can actually see calcium deposits on the top of their arm, and that's a bad sign. Um,
Mm, mm. Yeah, so it's vitamin K that's typically talked about with pregnancy and blood, uh, like blood barrier stuff with infection. I think with mom and baby.
Yeah,
Um,
babies get a vitamin K shot. All
right.
newborns, I believe, get a vitamin K shot because a very small or rare minority of people have a vitamin K issue,
Mm-hmm.
like genetic issue, and then they can't find out till later. So it's just easier for everybody to just do a vitamin K shot all around, just in case, and that's going to save some lives of some infants. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Vitamin K.
Right.
Vitamin K1 is very different than vitamin K2. Vitamin K1 is what's in your multivitamins most of the time. If you have cheap multivitamins, um, it's very important. It helps us to our blood to clot,
Mm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep, that's
it
right.
helps to regulate. So there's a misconception and a myth that too much vitamin K will cause blood clots, and that's not true.
Mm.
Um, there are issues with any type of vitamin that's too much, and there's so
Mm.
much research at this point to suggest vitamin K1 isn't going to cause a blood clot. That people are rethinking if people have to limit vitamin K while taking blood thinners. That's still the typical thing. I mean, that's your go-to. That's what your doctor's telling you. Decrease vitamin K, or more accurately, they'll say keep your vitamin K intake just level, balanced. But there's some research that's challenging that and trying to figure out, is that even still accurate? But vitamin K2, so vitamin K1 is found in leafy greens, broccoli, really mostly green vegetables. Broccoli, kale, spinach, lettuce even has some, asparagus. But vitamin K2 isn't in any of those foods. It's mostly in animal foods. So
So then animal foods are going to help get calcium into bones.
yeah, if they have vitamin K2, then it could be very necessary.
So what animals have vitamin K2?
Not as much. And going back to muscle meats versus organ meats. Organ meats we don't like in the US. We're not eating those things. We look at it and say that's really gross. we stuck with muscle meats like chicken and beef and pork and things like that for our protein. But it's the organ meats that have more vitamin K2, like liver. So our ancestors, when they were eating organ meats, and that was just part of their diet, they're probably fine with vitamin K2. But so liver is a good source of vitamin K2. And then there's a vitamin K2 database that we can share. I'll share in the live post so people can access it. It's from Chris Masterjohn. He lists things out. There's things, I think grass-fed butter is a good source. I think palm oil might be a good source, but I can't remember all off the top of my head. Sometimes people need a supplement because they just have no way of getting enough vitamin K2.
Well, I was going to say, like, if we have to get it from meat, then vegetarians, how are they getting calcium into bones?
Well, your body can
it can adapt and take resources and recreate it.
It can not effectively, not proficiently, but it can use some K1 to support bones. But is it optimal? Probably not. And yes, your body can adapt, but there's all kinds of issues potentially with like a vegan diet and bones. So while a vegan diet is chock full of fiber and antioxidants, which is why people that are very strict vegan tend to lower heart attack risks and things like that. They're eating tons of fiber and antioxidants. The risk of like bone issues could go up. They don't have as much vitamin K2. They don't have as much calcium a lot of times if they're not doing dairy, and they're not then choosing something that's fortified with dairy or naturally has it, like almonds or something like that. They might have bone problems. And then vitamin D, yes, we get it from the sun, but the food sources of vitamin D are egg yolks and especially like fish, like salmon. So again, that's a concern, is vitamin D in that population. So
yeah. Makes me think of like prothrombin, all those clotting factors and stuff, and also how calcium, the role that calcium plays in heart contractility and heart, like even blood pressure and regulation, like action potentials of a heart and contractility of it, everything. Like we need calcium, but we don't want it getting deposited into, we don't want it forming plaques on our arteries. Right. Are there specific foods that have like an anti-clotting factor, almost like a blood thinning component to it?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most profound ones is omega-3 rich foods like fish.
Right.
And they usually tell people not to take omega-3 supplements if they're on a clotting medication or anything affecting that, or blood thinner, because it could mess up. But mostly plant foods that are antioxidant rich. They're gonna, I wouldn't necessarily say they're blood thinners, but they're going to improve the health of the arteries and lower blood pressure. So, and then one thing that's massively important is sleep and sleep apnea. And you mentioned like just other heart conditions, like maybe heart failure, a congestive heart failure, where blood is having a hard time keeping up with things. Sleep apnea raises the risk by 140%. So sleep.
That's why I take my mouth shut.
There you go.
Yep. Keep that oxygen up there. Why does sleep apnea affect heart? Is it due to lack of oxygen?
I don't know. That would make sense. I mean, that's the main thing that's being cut off is just oxygen flow.
I think the way I would think about it would be oxygen flow would be a big one, but also diaphragm physics. Not being able to move like old air out of your lungs. We focus so much on the air that's coming in, but we don't do anything for the air going out, and we get stale air. Because with our diaphragm, like when we inhale, then we're creating a lower pressure in our abdomen, which is why air is able to go in, and it's going to increase blood pressure of our heart as an inverse, because then that's going to allow for more blood to get to that to where our alveoli and our heart kind of interchange, right where that blood part is of the cycle. So then more oxygen is going to get offloaded into those red blood cells, and also more carbon dioxide is going to get offloaded into our lungs. We can exhale it. Then when we exhale, we're actually increasing the pressure in our lungs, thus decreasing the pressure of our cardiovascular system. And so more of the oxygen in our red blood cells then are going to get offloaded into our muscles actually when we exhale. So when our muscles are burning up, that's when there's lack of oxygen in our muscles and they need more. And so we think we need to inhale more, but we actually need to exhale more.
Boom.
So try that on your Tabata ride. Try that on your sprints. When I was doing, I was doing walking lunges yesterday at the gym, and I was focusing on my breathing, where I was doing like a double inhale to get the maximum, and then I'd do a slow exhale, and I was able to do more lunges in a given period with that, just because I was focusing on my breathing. I wasn't really focusing on how much my legs are on fire.
So you breathe in, and then you try to squeeze in a little bit more air, and then
well, that itself is called a physiologic sigh. So a double inhale is how you maximally max out like your lung capacity. So inhale, and then inhale again, and that's going to double, and now you're kind of getting up into these upper lobes, and you're also causing your diaphragm to move down. So it's one thing to feel like you're breathing up into this, into your chest, and feeling your clavicles expand up, but you actually want to kind of feel your diaphragm moving down, because it's like a suction piston, and so we're suctioning the air into our lungs. But the thing is that we don't necessarily want air in our lungs. We want air in our cells. We want oxygen in our cells. And so what creates that is exhaling and doing breath holds. You can actually, like, if you track your heart on your watch or something, and you do really long exhales and also really slow, like if you exhale all the way out, I'm gonna do it right now. All right, so I'm whipping my watch real quick. I'm gonna go to the heart thing, and so my current beats per minute is measuring it. It was 75 5 minutes ago, so that must have been when. Okay, so right now it's 74 beats per minute. All right, so 74 beats per minute, and now I'm going to do a full exhale, and then I'm gonna hold. And then you do a little tiny inhale at just at the bottom of your lungs. And you just operate in that lower fifth of your lungs, like 5%.
Yeah.
My heart rate is now at 64.
Wow.
So in just literally about Less than a minute. I got my heart rate from 75 to 64.
Interesting.
Just from understanding how breath works. That's the
Yeah.
book Breath. Dude, I don't know if you read it before, but you got to.
I haven't
I
yet.
mean,
I got
you have your people too, like as a dietitian, you
it.
have your people do breathing during your sessions.
I make almost everybody start with that. It's just good, or halfway through if we're at any time. It's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, if you think about it, it's just like what, like a dietitian telling people, okay, we're gonna do some breath work. It's like, how is this gonna help out my digestion
I
and my
know.
inability to eat pizza?
Yeah.
And it helps out a ton. Helps
Yeah.
out a ton. Oh my goodness.
We spent a whole year
Um,
just on digestion and like the whole year worth of these. That's all such a
oh
long,
yeah,
long
100%.
conversation. Yeah.
So what about foods that can lower blood pressure? I mean, we know that breathing can lower blood pressure, and if people did these kind of breathing practices day in, day out consistently, they would have a lower standing blood pressure. Also, if you
Yeah.
get your nervous system checked and get your C1
Yeah.
adjusted when necessary, you have lower blood pressure.
Mhm.
What are foods that can lower blood pressure?
Yeah. Fruits and veggies are my go-to. So, which goes perfectly into challenge I'm about to do, anti-inflammation challenge, where we're consuming more colorful fruits and vegetables. And what gives the fruits and vegetables that pop of color are the phytochemicals. And phytonutrients is a fancy term for compounds like antioxidants that reduce oxidation and reduce inflammation and boost all types of health goals that we have, brain power, and lowers inflammation in our gut and reduces our blood pressure, reduces insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance. Yeah, so fruits and vegetables. So if you're looking at your plate and you're like, I do iceberg lettuce once a day, get some more things in there. Switch it up. Put some tomatoes and maybe throw some nuts on there. Spice things up. And if you're need to do a smoothie or something like that, throw multiple types of fruits and vegetables in there. And yeah, so that would be like the easiest way to do to reduce your blood pressure is boost your fruits and vegetables. 1 in 10 Americans get the recommended amount. So if you want to fall into that category, those 1 in 10 Americans are feeling better. And that's only 2
Yeah,
cups of fruit and 3 cups of vegetables. That's all a day.
that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to think about having all the colors of the rainbow.
Yep. Yep.
So okay, so let me ask you this: can I achieve that by having a green bell pepper, a red bell pepper, an orange bell pepper, and a yellow bell pepper? Am I getting different phytonutrients from each of those, or no?
You are. Yep. I love the bell peppers. It's a great way to do that.
So
Yeah.
but people rip on bell peppers because nightshades.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about nightshades unless you do
Uh,
MRT, nightshades come back high. Or if you have done an elimination diet and you know without a shadow of a doubt, like I know someone that has done an elimination diet and she knows that nightshades, especially tomatoes,
Okay.
bother her. That's fine. But unless you know for a shadow of a doubt, then I would say go ham on the nightshades and switch it up. Bell peppers are a great source of vitamin C. I think they definitely rival oranges. They may even be higher. And
Oh, wow.
peppers, although some peppers are spicy and can worsen like acid reflux, bell peppers are not very acidic. So I was just talking to someone who handles peppers, like bell peppers, well, but they can't do citrus fruits because they have really severe acid reflux. And they were trying to figure out why is that? How I thought peppers were bad. No, bell peppers and other ones are pretty neutral acidity. So pretty
Okay.
neat.
Very nice. That's pretty cool.
So if you're trying
Yeah.
to get your vitamin C and you can't do oranges or pineapples, bell peppers, broccoli, those will be your friend.
Okay. Nice. Okay, and also our broccoli, is broccoli man-made?
What do you mean? Is that
Well, I
something I
think
don't know
I
about?
think Cam told me one time that broccoli is like not actually natural. It's made by men or
But
mankind.
I know bananas have so there's different species like genetically. Obviously, there's genetically modified, organisms, GMOs, and I know that a lot of the diversity in banana varieties is down to like one. Like we have just one type of banana. That's what I've heard. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on with broccoli. Maybe we've genetically modified and we didn't keep a good amount of the strain and variety. I don't know. I gotta look that up. Gotta find out.
Yeah, I think he was saying like it was man-made and also it can damage your gut lining and stuff because it's really hard to digest and absorb. I don't know.
Like maybe the
I'll be
lectins
interested.
or whatever. Yeah. As far as I know, broccoli comes from the ground and is nature
Yeah,
made, but maybe
perfect.
there's more to the story.
Got it. That's funny. Cool.
Nice.
Well, I got people's
Yes.
about to be
Yep.
cruising in and everything, but this was a good little mini pot. That was good.
Yeah.
We got some nuggets in there. That was solid. How was the Q&A you just did?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. You
I
drop
really
anything
enjoyed
good
it.
on there?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. We were talking about polyvagal theory at one point. It was really fun.
Oh man. Oh, you gotta get me in on that. I want to get off
Dietitian talking about
bombs
polyvagal
on that.
theory. They're like, "What is this guy talking about?
Dude,
What is up with that?"
let me
But
get
my
that.
big thing is people that ask themselves just real briefly is what fills you up. So obviously we turn to food to fill us up and improve emotion. Us emotionally and when we're hungry and when we're stressed and when we're angry. What else fills you up? Is it getting outside with sunlight? Is it a talk with a friend? Is it yoga? Is it just relaxing for a second? Think about other things, motivations, goals, hobbies. What fills you up?
Okay,
That's the question.
nice.
So,
Maybe that's people's homework for next week. What fills
yes,
you up?
ponder that.
What fills that cup up? Gotta love it. All righty.
All
Well,
right.
another nutritional edge down, another nutritional edge to go, and
Yes.
these are fun as always. Thanks
Peace
for having
out.
on. We're
See you,
signing
man.
off. Adios.